In this video presentation, we will discuss the descriptive statistics, which is a measure of central tendency. The measures of central tendency, which is also known as average, are the following. It is the mean, median, and the mode. Let's start with the mean, or we also call arithmetic mean. The arithmetic mean is the sum of observations divided by the number of observations. So there are two types of mean, which is the population mean and the sample mean. In the previous lesson, we already discussed what is the difference between the population and a sample. Take note that for a population mean, the symbol that we are going to use is the mu, whereas for the sample mean, we are using x bar. Let's take a look at this example. A marketing specialist gathered 5 randomly selected customers, and their age in years are the following. Find the mean age of the customers. So first, you have to identify what type of mean are you going to solve. So in this case, since you are gathering 5 randomly selected customers, you are doing a sample mean. So getting the average of the data that you have collected, the arithmetic mean or the sample mean is equivalent to 28.8. It means that the mean average or the mean age of customers is 28.8 years. Next example, a researcher wants to determine the cholesterol level of all 6 residents of Guyan Island. Observations are as follows. Compute for its mean. Now, take note that in this problem, you are taking in consideration all of the 6 residents, meaning the entire population of the island. So, you're getting the population mean. And by solving the average, you will get 146.67, or the mean cholesterol level of the residents in Guyan Island is 146.67. Now, look at this example. This is the same as the previous one. However, instead of considering the entire population, you try to just select a certain sample. In this case, out of the 6 residents of the Guyan Island, you're just selecting 3 out of the 6. So, you have to compute now for the mean. Since you are only getting a sample out of the population, you have to compute for the sample mean, which in this case is equivalent to 140. So out of the 3 samples that you get, you have the mean cholesterol level of 140. Now take note that 140 is an estimate of the cholesterol level of all the residents, which is in the previous example is 146.67. So, if you're going to compare the mean between the population and the sample, you can actually say that statistics or the sample is an estimate of the parameter or of the population. So, take note that for your random samples x1 up to x of n from a population with a mean mu, then your x bar or your sample mean is an unbiased estimate of your population mean. Next, so how are you going to solve the mean of your observations if it's already under a frequency distribution table? To solve for the mean of the frequency distribution table, you just need first to multiply the values to its frequency. So in this case, on the first row, that is 20 times 2, that is equivalent to 40. Doing that for all of the values and frequency, then getting the sum of all of the product of the values and the frequency and divide it to the total number of frequency, then you will get your mean. In this case, the sample mean is equivalent to 32.07. The next measure of central tendency is the median. The median is the middle value of ordered observation. Take note of the symbol used for median. Going back to the first example, we have to identify what is the median age of the customers. Now, solving for the median or identifying the median requires arranging the values or the observation either ascendingly or descendingly. In this case, it's easier to arrange the observations ascendingly. So, selecting the middle value, which is 27, so the median of the randomly selected customers is 27. Now, it's easier to identify the median if you have an odd number of observation because the middle value is already obvious. Now, in this example, you have 6 observation all in all. So how are you going to find its median? So the first step is similar, arranging the observations ascendingly, and then identify what are the middle values. In this case, you have two middle values, which is 140 and 150. Now, to get the middle value between the two, you just need to take its average. In this case, the median or the middle value between 140 and 150 is 145. So the median cholesterol level of the residents is 145. So again, for an odd number of observation, it's easier to select which is the median. Whereas if it's an even number of observations, you have to get the average between the two middle values. So thus, this is the formula to get the median of large number of observation. So that is x sub 1/2 times n plus 1. Now, how are you going to find the median if the data is presented in the frequency table, such as the example below? Now, to get the median, you just need to identify what is the middle value in the table. In this case, the middle value is 30. So the median is 30. Also, you have to take note that you have to consider the frequency when you're solving for the median. Notice that the total frequency here in the example is 15. So, taking the median of 15 is 7.5. Now, you have to check at what frequency you will get the 7.5 data. So, at the value 20, you only have 2 plus the frequency of value 29 plus 4, so that is 6, and then plus the frequency in the value of 30, which is plus 4, which is 10. So the 7.5 value or the 7.5 position is in the value 30. So the last measure of central tendency is the mode, or the most frequent observation or observations. The mode is denoted by the symbol x hat. Let's look at this similar example. So what is the mode of the cholesterol level of all 6 residents of the Guian Island? So looking at each observation, we notice that 120 occurred twice. The rest just occurred once. So the mode of this data set is 120. Next example, what is the mode of the randomly selected customers and their age? Notice that all of the data set or all of the data occurred only once, hence the mode does not exist. Next example, a social media specialist wanted to determine the daily number of tweets of first-year college students, and the results from 7 randomly selected students are the following. So, what is the mode, or find its mode? Notice that the value 12 and 40 both occurred twice, while the rest occurred only once. Hence, you have two modes in this data set, which is 12 and 40. Now, for a set of observations with one mode, that is called a unimodal, whereas a set of observations with two modes is called a bimodal. The set of observations with three modes is called trimodal, and more than three modes is called multimodal. Finding the mode in a data presented in the frequency table, such as below, you just need to identify which values have the most number of frequencies. In this case, it is 29 and 30. Now, in data interpretation, we always ask when do we use the different measures of central tendency. Now, this table will help you decide which is the best measure of central tendency. So if your data is a ratio or an interval type, now you can use all these measure of central tendency, but the best one should be the mean. Whereas if your data is considered as ordinal, you cannot use the mean, but you can actually use median and mode. So the best measure of central tendency is the median. Whereas for the nominal, you can only use the mode measure of central tendency. So that would be the best measure that you can use.